Welcome to the Rippy Effect. I'm Jackie Hunter, your host.
Previously, he worked as Director of Education. You are a gastroenterologist.
Welcome to the show. Thank you. And I hail Samantha.
Yes. I have been telling my guests that it's so important for them to drink lots of water. Welcome to the Rippy Effect. I'm Jackie Hunter, your host, and this evening you will learn about two female inventors, Marie Van Britten Brown and Margaret E. Knight. Both of these ladies lived during a period when many men thought women were incapable of inventing. Imagine that. You'll also get a chance to meet my special guest tonight, Delia Tate. Delia is a citrix engineer. Do you know what a citrix engineer is? Well, you'll have to stay tuned.
If you have a Ring doorbell or Brink security system, or even that little peephole in your home, you have a black nurse to thank for this invention. Now, as a full-time nurse, in 1966, Marie Van Britten Brown recognized the security threats to her home and devised a system that will alert her of strangers at her door and contact relevant authorities as quickly as possible. Her original invention consisted of peepholes, a camera, monitors, and a two-way microphone. The finishing touches was an alarm button that, when pressed, would immediately contact the police. Her patent laid the groundwork for the modern closed-circuit television system that is widely used for surveillance, home security systems, push-button alarm triggers, crime prevention, and traffic monitoring. So, for Black History Month, we celebrate you, Marie Van Britten Brown.
As a child, I never cared for things that girls usually do. The only things I wanted were a jackknife, a gimlet, and pieces of wood. These are the words of Margaret E. Knight, inventor. She's the last in our series. This is Stephanie Kwame from the Cat Academy. Margaret E. Knight, or Maddie as she was known, was born on Valentine's Day in 1838 in York, Maine. Her parents were so good to her. They didn't mind her following her nature or her passion. She didn't like the toys that young girls played with. She preferred her invention notebook where she created and drew inventions. And she loved her father's tool chest and would carry it around. And she actually started creating fast sleds and kites for her younger brothers. This is a quote: "I was famous for my kites. My sleds were the envy and admiration of all the boys in town." So you can see she had a competitive spirit as well. Unfortunately, her father passed away when she was very young, and like a lot of young children in that age, she had to go to work in a textile mill, and that really ended her education. Unfortunately, children ended up in these mills because of the economy, basically, and because there was no laws to protect them, and they worked in horrible conditions, in extreme heat, dust and dirt, and around big equipment that could easily injure them. The mills didn't run off of electricity, they ran off of the power of a river, so you would find them by rivers and waterfalls. When she was just 12 years old, Maddie witnessed a little girl almost getting killed from one of the shuttles flying off of the textile looms and almost hitting her. And so she decided to come up with something that would prevent that. So she came up with metal guards and a shutoff valve that they finally started using in her mill, and that ended up, by the time she was only 13, they used that shutoff valve and that metal guard in all of the equipment, textile machines in her area. She went to work for a paper bag company, and wherever she went to work, she was always looking for a way to come up with something better, how to improve things. So she was an observer of things that went around her, and when she saw a need, she would fill it. And she thought, as she saw people filling the V-shaped bags that they made there, how difficult that was because they couldn't stand on their own. Someone had to hold one side of the bag and then you would fill it with the other, and they often broke and fell over. And she thought, wouldn't it be nice to have a flat bottom bag that could sit on its own and you could fill it with, you could use both hands. And so she came up with the idea, and then she developed a machine to produce the brown paper bag, and we still use that today. The machine would fold it, glue it, and it would come out perfect the other end. Unfortunately, there was a spy when she was making her prototype. His name was Charles Annam, and he basically preempted her. And because he had seen the women building her prototype, he applied for and received a patent on Knight's device before she applied for the patent. And it's interesting, she decided to sue him. She had never had a patent before, and this was her first patent, and she felt very strongly about it. So when they were in court, they asked Annam what could he say about he being the inventor of this device, and his defense is that no woman could possibly invent a device like this, which is kind of funny in our day and age. And of course she had all of the backup files. She had all the backup drawings and everything, so she basically ended up getting a patent on July 11th, 1871. It's interesting when you look at a paper bag with lit from behind. It's like an origami project of folding, and you might try making or folding the paper bag. So that machine had to fold it, glue it, and send it out. So she teamed up with a businessman, and they established the Eastern Paper Bag Company after she got her patent. She went on to do a lot of different things, but everything she did, she rose to the occasion, invented something that was terrific, and she had a great mind, a genius mind. And by the time she died at age 76 in 1914. She held 27 patents and probably invented at least twice that many devices that she didn't do patents on.
Welcome back to the Rippy Effect. I'm Jackie Hunter, your host, and this evening we have Delia Tate. Hi, Delia.
Hello.
Delia is a Citrix engineer. I had never, ever heard of a Citrix engineer. So she's going to share with us what she does in that role.
Basically, as I like to start, when someone asks me what I do, I have to start with the cloud. And if you've heard of the cloud, you know that there's a lot of technology that goes into creating the cloud. Well, that infrastructure, I help build, design, and maintain that infrastructure. For an example, the application that you're using now for this call, Zoom, is actually built on a cloud infrastructure. There are many technologies that have cloud platforms. Citrix, the platform that I work with, the company is based out of Florida. They have a remote location in Atlanta. So they have this technology that they use to help companies build their own private cloud. So that's where I come into play. So right now I've been working with the Department of Transportation for about 2.5 years. So I maintain their private cloud so their employees can access all of their tools that they need to work from anywhere. Mm-hmm. So the beauty of the cloud is it allows you to work from any and everywhere. Right now, we're using the cloud. I'm here in California, you're in Vegas, and we're using the cloud to have this meeting. That's the great part about it.
Could I ask you something?
Sure.
When I thought about the cloud, I used to think, oh my goodness, they are storing information in a satellite or something, but it's on a computer, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
It is. Yes. The cloud is essentially a data center that's stored somewhere with hundreds of computers that host applications such as Zoom and many other applications that you're able to access from just as long as you have an internet connection. But behind all the nuts and bolts of it is still just hundreds of computers with those applications installed.
Oh, wow.
So, and what it does is eliminate the need for you to install these applications onto your own personal computer. It just it requires you to have access to the internet, and then you can access just really, a lot of applications. It's very beneficial. The cloud technology has been around I've been working in the cloud for about 10 years, probably a little over 10 years, and it has evolved so much. And it allows, it's very efficient, allows for a very efficient workforce, and again, for the flexibility to work anywhere.
Okay. It's so very interesting. As you're talking, I'm thinking it must be like a supercomputer or a quantum computer or something like that.
Not at all. It's not. It's not a huge mainframe as like they were having today, this big computer. No, it's not. It's many smaller computers that just have a lot of space and memory to install application. And it's fascinating to me. I've always loved technology, and then to get to see how all of this operates in the background it's just so fascinating to me, and I really enjoy it.
That's great news. So how has COVID-19 affected your workspace? Has it changed anything?
The change was for the better, just because a lot of companies had to start to utilize the cloud technology more so that their employees could continue work. So for what I do specifically, there's such a huge demand. I received so many calls during this quarantine to help companies either manage their existing cloud infrastructure, to expand it, to design it, to manage it. So for me, it was my skill set became in such high demand. And I'm again very thankful to still continue to work in this era. But yeah, the change for me, it was a change for the good, actually.
Okay. Now I know that there are a lot of young people out there who are watching who might be interested in technology. Could you share with them some advice?
The first advice is to be a self-starter and initiator. A lot in this particular field, technology change every day. What we know today will be irrelevant tomorrow. You have to be willing to constantly learn and learn on your own. This is not a field where someone will take your hand and hold you. You really have to really be willing to go after it on your own, to self-learn, and then ask questions as need be. Over time, I've learned that more employers are looking for self-motivated initiators, some people who are very creative thinking. So math skills are essential for this role. So if you're strong in math, I would definitely tell you to pursue this opportunity. If you love to solve problems, another great, this would be another great field for you. But the biggest thing is to be self-motivated, initiated, and determined, and be a self-learner.
Very, very good advice. One last question. When you were a student in high school, or maybe in college, did you know that this was going to be the field that you would want to work in?
No, I didn't. No, I did not. I knew I was always intrigued by how things work. Like I would see something like a machinery, and I was always intrigued by what made it do what it did. But I actually, when I first started off in college, I actually wanted to become a teacher. I wanted to become a teacher, and literally after the first semester, I said, I can't do it because it was, to me, I have to get up every day and do like almost like the same thing and have like a cookie cutter. My mind is just, it didn't work for me. So I made the switch. I made the switch based on what I like to do, because my interest in learning how things work. But I remember an instructor telling me not to pursue IT because you always had to learn. She told me in another class. Learning. Yeah, exactly. I was like, but that's me. That's what I like, getting up every morning. And when I log into my computer, I have no idea what I'm going to step into. I like that. I don't know what problem I have to solve every day. It's a different problem to solve every day. That drives me. So yeah, I looking back, I can see how I probably should have went that route starting out, but again, growing up is you're a nurse or you are a teacher. So I was like, I automatically assumed that I would become a teacher. But really early on, I was like, yeah, no, my brain is different.
Too much of a routine.
Exactly. I'm not a routine person. I need something that's just challenging. And literally my day-to-day job, every 10 minutes, it can be just changing. But again, that excites me.
Okay, well, that's very good. That's very interesting. And so young people who are out there who really enjoy a challenge and enjoy solving problems, this might be the career for you. Thank you so much, Delia, for joining us on the show. Have a great day.
You too, and thank you for having me.
So now you know what a citrus engineer does, thanks to Delia Tate. And now we have a little time left, so I'm going to share with you a really cute cartoon that has 10 female inventors. It is fantastic.
We all know the dude who invented the light bulb. We kind of remember the lads that built the first plane. And you certainly recognize the name of the gentleman who invented the phone, but can you name one inventor that was a female? Frowning and worrying, I see. Well, frown and worry no more. Here are the top 10 inventions that the ladies deserve the credit for. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's take a trip through history and discover the stories behind 10 amazing inventions. Don't forget to click subscribe and hit the notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. Number 10. We start off the list with the ultimate social lubricant, beer. Beer was invented nearly 7,000 years ago by the Sumerians. Although we don't have an exact date or the name of the inventor, we do know that the first batch of beer brewers were women. Could be a great icebreaker the next time you're at the bar.
So, do you know who invented beer?
Number 9. And number 9 is the flat-bottom paper bag. What? A flat-bottom paper bag needs inventing? And second, what even is a flat-bottom paper bag? Well, here it is. Before this, there was this. As you can see, the old version paper bags were more like envelopes and were very inefficient. It carried less and took more paper to make. A lady by the name of Margaret E Knight came along in 1867 and invented the process of making the paper bag that we know of today. Her innovations revolutionized the paper bag industry by replacing the work of 30 people with one machine. Number 8. When Mary Anderson came to New York in 1903, she noticed how drivers that were on the roads there needed to constantly lean out of the car and manually wipe their windscreens. While this may have been a great way to get in some exercise while driving, it was also a quick way to get yourself killed. So Miss Anderson set her mind to inventing what we now know as the windscreen wiper. She patented the invention and presented it to the motor industry, but she was turned down as people didn't believe there was a future for a device. It wasn't until 20 years later that the first car with window wipers that used Mary's basic design came on the market, and the rest is history. Number 7. Josephine Couturier was rich. In fact, she was so rich that the biggest annoyance was the fact that the china was being damaged every time her workers washed it. But Josephine wasn't going to meekly accept that sometimes things just get broken. She was going to invent a machine that would automatically wash her dishes without anyone touching it. So in 1886, with the help of a mechanic, she created the first successful automatic dishwasher. Her invention not only had separate compartments for different things, but also used pressurized jets of soap water to do the cleaning. Number 6. Kevlar is a word familiar to online gamers as that thing that stops your character from dying 5 seconds into a first-person shooter. But in the real world, apart from being the key material for manufacturing bulletproof vests, Kevlar is also deployed widely in many other areas. It is 5 times stronger than steel, yet also 5 times lighter. It was invented in 1965 by a chemist called Stephanie Kwolek, who was researching the applications of liquid crystalline polymers. Number 5. In the world of inventors, there aren't many nicknames that can match the Sun Queen in terms of elegance and power. This is the nickname the scientific community has given to Maria Telx, one of the inventors of solar power. Telx is considered one of the founders of solar thermal storage systems, and she was a prolific inventor of practical thermal devices. Number 4. Before caller ID was invented, picking up the phone felt like opening a box of chocolates. But a lady called Shirley Ann Jackson decided to take away the fun of guessing and give us the choice to not pick up at all.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Shirley Ann Jackson was behind the invention of caller ID in the 1970s. She was also the first African-American woman to receive a doctorate from MIT. She was a brilliant physicist, and the research also led to the invention of fax machines and solar cells. Number 3. Ada Lovelace was a mathematical genius. She was so ahead of her time that she invented what is widely considered to be the first computer program, 80 years before the first modern computer was even built. She had written an algorithm for a computing machine called the analytic machine in her notebook in the mid-1800s. By a wide margin, she was truly the first ever computer programmer. Number 2. Grace Hopper was not only a real admiral of the US Navy, she was also an unsung hero in the history of computing. She helped to invent the first compiler, or to put it in simple terms, the first computer program that could translate words instructions into code that computers could read. If that's not enough for you, she also coined the term bug, as she literally discovered the real bug causing problems inside her computers. Number 1. Heda Lamar was a Hollywood starlet in the 1940s, so perhaps it goes without saying that she was beautiful and talented. However, fans who knew her only from the silver screen may not have guessed that she was also a brilliant inventor. Her most famous invention is frequency hopping, a way of jumping around on radio frequencies in order to avoid a third-party jamming. Although initially intended for military use, frequency hopping was crucial to the development of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. A groundbreaking inventor who also got her own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, not many people can match that. So, that was a long list of names and inventions, and I suppose you're unlikely to remember them all. But don't worry, if you take just one thing from this, I hope it is that ladies can just be as good as lads in terms of inventions. A long history of invention has already been written, but new chapters can always be added in the future. And what a future will it be with the rise of the digital age? More and more women are entering into the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics than ever before. Huawei is a key player in helping push for more women to join the STEM field, pushing for women to get more opportunities in their work, and helping close the gap of the digital gender divide. So, come with us on the journey for a brighter future.
This concludes today's show. And I want to thank my special guest, Delia Tate, for sharing with us what she does as a citrus engineer. And I hope that you will join me for my final show this year, the 5th episode, when I interview Michael Hall, who is a chemical engineer. And I'll have some surprises for you too on that final show for this year. Bye for now.